And if that is your core use case, we think you should go to Shopify or BigCommerce because those platforms are really good at those kind of classic trading patterns where 95% of all use cases are very similar and it's templatized. And if you fit in that box, buy from them. That leaves what is the complex commerce use cases. And you think about businesses with huge catalogs, you think about businesses in regulated industries where the rules of play change on a kind of state or county level, or you think about B2B distributors who've got unbelievably thin margins, high volume of business, but tremendous amounts of complexity and kind of regional, let's call it, places they can do business. Like you've got these 4 states, okay? So when you start to get into those complexities, that's where the Shopware offering fits. So Shopify for simple, Shopware for complex. And we've drawn that line with our agency partners so that they know when to recommend us and when to recommend Shopify because it's the right tool for the job.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Jeremy Gryder, the e-commerce redneck, and today I have got an old friend, Jason Nyhus, from the GM of Shopware, and it is an amazing product, an amazing platform that is absolutely just jettisoned in the last year or so. So without further ado, Jason, update us on what's going on with Shopware.
Hey, well, first of all, emphasis on old as it relates to friend. I'm thrilled to be back on the pod with you. Big fan of you and what you do and the message that you deliver to your audience. I think it's excellent. Yeah. So, we were together maybe 5-6 weeks ago in Austin, Texas, and it was at our partner day. And what's really, really exciting is we've only been in this market for, call it 3.5 years. And our partner day had like 140 people show up. The community of just A-class people that are building around and monetizing and utilizing Shopware in North America is at an all-time high. And so really excited about it.
Yeah, and one thing I would point out is who the people are. You've got a lot of partners now that are really a lot of the very elite partners for any platform, as far as people that build very custom stuff, very technical stuff, and they are on fire about this platform. They can't say enough good stuff about it, and you're starting to latch on to some big brands and things like that. So I gotta say that event, and one thing I want to point out too is your events are not regular events. When you go to a Shopware event, it's not like going to a Shopify or commerce event. It is going to be more engaging, in my opinion. Tend to have those events where it doesn't go too long-winded, but you have some fun in the middle of it too. So what is the whole motive behind all of that? Explain that a little bit. Tell me a little bit more about why and how you do these events and why that's important to you.
Well, first of all, thank you for the compliment about the company that we're keeping in terms of the people, because I agree completely. I'm a little bit biased, but we've carefully curated the partners that we can build trust with, and we make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with people who do good, honest, high integrity type of business. And so the fact that you're kind of commenting on the quality of the people makes me feel really good. With regards to the Shopware events here in North America, we have a little bit of a formula we've never really talked about, but it's about 35% roughly of the content we talk about can be about Shopware, but 65, more than half, has to be about the community. And so what that ultimately does is an event like our partner day, yes, you hear about our product and how we think about AI and our go-to-market motion and some of those things. But what you also get is you get web scale up there talking about how they're creating an infrastructure and agents to go solve next generation problems. You hear Ballistic talk about how they're a lean agency that leans on they're a virtual organization that leans on other companies and how they're utilizing AI to automate. You give the microphone to some of the smartest people in e-commerce and you let them talk. And that's really been our approach. So simply put, there's a bunch of ways to make money in e-commerce. Shopware has decided that being a great software company is how we're going to make money. And we're going to let the other 6 primary ways of making money belong to the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that, you also got to give them the opportunity to describe their value and how they're driving the ecosystem forward. Some of our competitors monetize payments as 70% of the way they make money. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? They wanna own that narrative. They wanna talk about payments as part of their core story. Here in Shopware North America, again, we're trying to be a great software company, not a
Mhm.
services company, not a payments company. You got it.
There has definitely been a lot of that payment talk going around. And, that was a big differentiator when it came to Shopify and Big Commerce. Well, Commerce just recently decided they're going to be a payment company too. Not going to get into that too much, but I really understand it because when I was there for 7.5 years, we swore to our customers that we would never do that. And then they did it. But anyhow, I think one of the things that companies should do is do what they're good at and do what makes sense and they have expertise in. So when I start seeing even a company like Shopware try to be an email marketing company too,
Yeah.
or something like that, it doesn't make sense. So I totally get what you're saying. I also think there's a nice bit of appeal for those people that are on platforms that are turning into payment gateways too. And this is definitely one of those places they can land and get that in-depth functionality and both a SaaS and on-premise version, So, I mean, I don't know. I think for you guys that are out there and you're especially high risk in different things like that, or just have a very complex custom need, Shopware is proving to be very flexible in that arena.
Yeah, totally. Well, let me add on to the point because I don't think you can. We all have a tendency to create these binaries where it's either good or bad that a business
Right.
does it, and I don't know that I can be that kind of crystal clear, but I can say that there are absolutely great things about the way that people are leading into payments and trying to monetize them. But the best part about it is that they're trying to make it easier to do payments, and if that's the guiding principle, Shopware does that too. We're gonna make payments easier. Now, where it gets bad, in my opinion, is when you start saying if you don't use a certain payment type, you got to pay a corking fee or a penalty. That's where the
That's
problems start to
That's
arise.
my only problem.
Yeah.
That's my only problem with that kinda stuff. And honestly, I didn't like it when Shopify first started doing it. I thought it was a huge problem. And early on, they didn't have as many features as they have now, so it really was a harder sell when they did it, so but yeah, I would say that's definitely a good thing. Now, with that said, you had mentioned before we got on the call here, kind of some industry specific cool stuff that you're doing now and ways that Shopware is giving an advantage to people across those genres or different types of catalogs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so let me take a little bit of a step back. So
Sure,
Shopware
sure, sure, sure.
Shopware is focused on what we call complex commerce and trying to simplify it and automate what's how businesses operate. In our minds, we try to draw a pretty clear line, and we talk about it as kind of standard commerce, which could be kind of classic B2C, or it could be in a lot of ways relatively basic B2B. And if that is your core use case, we think you should go to Shopify or BigCommerce because those platforms are really good at those kind of classic trading patterns where 95% of all use cases are very similar and it's templatized. And if you fit in that box, buy from them. That leaves what is the complex commerce use cases. And you think about businesses with huge catalogs, you think about businesses in regulated industries where the rules of play change on a kind of state or county level, or you think about B2B distributors who've got unbelievably thin margins, high volume of business, but tremendous amounts of complexity and kind of regional, let's call it places they can do business. Like you've got these 4 states. Okay. So when you start to get into those complexities, that's where the Shopware offering fits. So Shopify for simple, Shopware for complex. And
I
we've
agree.
drawn that line with our agency partners so that they know when to recommend us and when to recommend Shopify because it's the right tool for the job.
Well,
Now,
and I've even heard you say, by the way, I have sent customers to Shopify,
we do it
and
every week.
I mean, that is awesome. That's awesome because you realize your place, your niche, the company knows its identity.
And it's expensive to win new logos for every company, but it's really expensive when you win them, launch them, and have to replace them because they attrit. And so we're taking a very German approach, very long-term thinking, very pragmatic, that we'd rather not even win them if we're not the right fit. because replacing them later becomes twice as hard. So that's
Right.
our view. It's pragmatic. It's not always popular.
Well, but I mean, too, from what I understand, part of the reason that people really like your product is because the engineers that deal with the e-commerce sites really enjoy working with your code and things like that, and the front end and all of that stuff. So with that said, what is that? How is that changing in the shopware world? What else are y'all doing that's new for that side of things?
Yeah, well, let me connect those two dots, right? So now I've described Shopware as focused on this complex commerce use case, and you asked earlier around what we're innovating to solve for the unique industries.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna bridge this. But because we're so focused on those industries, let's say 2A, let's say alcohol, tobacco, government, healthcare, fintech, distributors of all shapes and sizes, what we have is this product called it's Shopware. But what we've done is with our agency partners, it's called Shopware Build. And what we've done is we've created versions of Shopware that are uniquely out of the box, purpose built to solve certain industry capabilities. So
Wow.
70% of all industry, let's say electrical distributors, 70% of their problems are fairly universal. Where our agency partners now start is with a 70% of the utility already there. With the last 30%, they can make sure its last mile is purpose built for that merchant. And so that reduces time, it reduces cost, and it gives people a very industry specific use case as opposed to this general purpose, one size fits all box.
I like that. I like that. And honestly, what an advantage if you are an agency to have a lot of those kind of things ready, roaring, ripping, ready to go, you know?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
I love that. And now, as far as like AI and all of that go, how are things going in the shopware world? What are you seeing with what the agencies are doing? And because I mean, it's you can't get away from it. I believe it was Mike from Blazer. I mentioned AI to him one time, and he goes, "AI, AI, AI, AI." You know, he's like, "It's all you hear." But what I'm really interested in is it always comes down to what's working. What are you seeing working on Shop?
Yeah, well, so first and foremost, we're going to announce a bunch of stuff June 10th in Germany next. It's next week. I'm not sure when this airs, but June 10th, we have our Shopware Community Day in Germany, and we're announcing a bunch of new utility. But what you got to know about Shopware is we're incredibly pragmatic. Everything we build kind of comes from market feedback, feedback from our agencies, feedback from our customers, feedback from our prospects. What do they actually need to go solve real business problems? And I tell you, one of the framing that's really helped me is there are systems you have to count on, and there are systems you can vibe with. Okay. Our goal is both. So, in other words, we can provide bedrock utility that is, this customer gets this products at these prices in these regions with this tax. Like all that shit has to be perfect. Right.
Mhm, mhm.
But when we talk about like unique experiences that we can put on top or things you could essentially vibe code as a plugin, we support both. And
Wow.
so the shopware itself is this core engine. Think of it like an ERP, but built for e-commerce. And then how to use say Lovable or Anthropic or other things to create custom plugins that work exactly for your use case that plug into the shopware infrastructure, which is built for plugins to essentially solve your last mile problem. So again, it's the system you can count on, but also vibe with.
Is
That's
that
what's
going to
working.
be, you think, affecting the front end as well in any way?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Woo. I
yep.
like that. I played with some of the AI builder stuff, and I'm just I I'm fascinated by it. I will say it's very unruly with some platforms and other ones are a little better. What I am finally figuring out, if you've ever been a creative director, they're ideal because that's exactly what you're doing. It's just like having an employee and saying, no, I don't like this. I like this. Do this differently. Here's an example of what I do like. Here's what I don't like, and that clarification makes it so much better. And so I've played with it, but I think it's a whole different deal once you learn to prompt it correctly and get very particular with it. But
100%.
that's exciting, and again, for the back end, it's already been one of those things where people are very excited with the way that they're able to customize things from a code perspective. But then on the other side, when you bring those kind of things into front end, you're making the designers happy. So I mean, you may not be the biggest boy on the block yet, but you're sure gonna attract the girls, I'm telling you.
There we go. I like the analogy. Let me play that forward just a touch. We have some unintended advantages that I don't know was a design point back in 2019 when we launched our product, but today in a world of AI and LLMs, it's enormously advantageous. And that's the fact that we're an open system,
Mhm.
which allows you to play with any, you can vibe code your way to any plugin or app. But number two, we have open APIs that literally there's an API for everything at Shopware. The first thing when we build new capability is we build the API and then we build everything else. Okay. So some people say they're API first. Mostly it's just marketing. It's actually our operating model. And why that matters is when you're an LLM, go off and say, create a Shopware store, do these things. They go to these public APIs and the public documentation. It digests it and it does work. If you're a closed system or you have APIs that you require a login or poor documentation or not an API for everything, the AI can't be effective
Right.
because it's only as good as the information it has access to. Being completely open is a huge advantage.
Yes, yeah, having all those levers, and that's one of the things that most SaaS systems that are older have struggled with is being more open, and even on premise, I'm sure has had some trouble with being as open as you are. So,
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. So we think we're pretty well positioned. And the other one is really around this concept of data sovereignty. Who are you sharing your information with? I love all the innovation that's happening with AI and all the point solutions that are out there. The big risk on that is number one, how compatible it is with the systems you must count on.
mhm.
And secondarily, what's happening with all your information and data. And I think today we're in the it's really cool, let's just try it. I think tomorrow or somewhere down the line, we're going to say, oh my God, look at all the information, look at the security risk we took, look at all the privacy concerns we've got. And I think companies are going to start to realize those externalities of how fast we're going as a
Mhm.
industry, not Shopware. So Shopware's approach around letting you control your data, letting it be self-managed is really a superpower. So again, you guys can control your environment. We are completely open in terms of the APIs and you can vibe code with us. So the combination of those has really started to matter.
You know what this reminds me of? Hopefully, this is a good analogy. But I had a guy that was a mentor of mine that had worked in a polo store, and he said there was Preppy come too early, which was Izod. And then there was Preppy come too late, which was Tommy Hilfiger. And then there was Preppy come right on time, and that's Polo. And so it's like it niched just in the right way. And I see a lot of that, especially not necessarily that you're going to be, like you said, you're not the solve for the same kind of store that a Shopify store would be. But there is a huge niche part of the market that needs so much customization, and bringing the AI and the vibe coding and the other stuff that you're going to enable with this to the floor on a system like that is also democratizing it quite a bit for those agencies that are trying to go through these growing pains with, AI and such. So I feel like your timing on this with the kind of product and the approach you have with the very open API, that's killer, and it's very attractive to agencies for sure, because you want to be able to control. You hit walls with SaaS systems that you
You do.
can't control, and if you can control that, and you're not going to lose your mind with hosting, you're not going to lose your mind with the product itself. The product's built not to fight you, but to work with you. I think it's just kind of a no-brainer for agencies. They should be looking you up. They should be trying it out and getting their hands dirty a little bit, because it really is hitting all the right ideas in my book.
Yep. And the key, I think, is that it's really around product market fit. So yeah, we got a cool product. Yeah, it's got AI built in. Yeah, it's a license fee, not a rev share. Like, there's a lot of good things. But at the end of the day, the merchant and the agency have to find the right tool for the job. And I'll
Right.
tell you what I mean. Like we've lost deals to Shopify, even ones we didn't send to them because we thought we had a shot. And I had calls with the merchants, 6 months after, when they're in the implementation phase. And one of the pieces of feedback was, hey, listen, like, we had some runaway processes that were just bespoke and custom for the sake of being bespoke and custom. And Shopify forced us, in a good way, to kind of centralize the way that they did certain things, like privacy and the like. So, we're looking for those companies that are unique and complex because it helps their business, because it differentiates them. That's the right kind of complexity. Complexity for complexity's sake, those merchants should be excited about being forced into a box.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, a box is safe sometimes, and that, I mean, but what's great too is, just the ability to continue to have a product that's growing with you right now. Because one of the greatest fears, I mean, in a world of, hey, you go to college for a computer degree, and by the time you're out of it, it's irrelevant almost, and it's like, technology's moving so fast. If you don't have a very agile product with an open API like what you have, I think you're definitely at a huge disadvantage.
Yep. Yep, exactly. And, you're starting to see a lot of conversations around people playing with APIs and seeing these enormous bills for tokens. Like, I still think we're in early innings in this whole, how is AI going to change everything? And so what's really important is you pick a company that you have a little bit of a shared vision, that the company can advance ahead of you, and you can be a little bit of a laggard and adopt when it makes sense for you, which is why the model of Shopware is so interesting. Because in a multi-tenant SaaS, everybody's on the same environment, everybody gets the same features at the same time. The problem is that it doesn't allow you to run at your own pace. You're at the
Right.
same pace of the platform. So to me, that's another thing that I think needs to be considered.
Yeah, yeah. The platform you said was coded in 2019, correct?
Originally built, yeah, launched in
Yeah.
2019. That's
Now,
exactly
do
right.
you know if that is the youngest, larger platform that's out there right now?
I think it's I like to use the term
I'm
at
sure
scale.
I'm sure there's ones that are right now being born into existence, but
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but
Yeah, so
at scale.
of the 19 vendors on the Gartner Magic Quadrant, I think we're the youngest, quote unquote, by about a decade.
Okay.
And so, just to put things in perspective, go back into your old drawers and find an iPhone 2 and try to run today's applications on it.
hmm
It takes some really heavy engineering to make that old hardware run today's software. And I think the same thing is true in commerce. A more modern offering is a bit of an advantage for us.
It's a huge advantage, especially when there are people that for the last 6 years haven't even changed their UI or haven't added any kind of real AI to it yet. There's a lot of platforms out there that, in my opinion, haven't, they just go AI bad, security issues, and they don't put it together the way that it needs to be so that you can separate those things that are important from the things that are crucial. I mean, that aren't important from the things that aren't as crucial. And so, yeah, I think that clarity within that, people are gonna love that. So, well, with that said, do we have anything else maybe that you wanted to cover before we got off today? And did you have anything else you wanted to share with the audience?
I would say the one thing I would leave out there is mark your calendars. We have an event called Shoptoberfest, which, Jeremy, you've been a part of. We love having you. We want you there again. But it's in Nashville, Tennessee this year.
Yeah.
And we rented out the largest beer hall in the state of Tennessee. It's in Opryland, not far from Nashville. And basically, we are a build a bigger table kind of people.
Uh-huh.
So all are welcome. It's going to be an e-commerce event. It'll be 0% about Shopware, 100% about merchants and our ecosystem.
And
We're
these are
simply
a
the
lot of
stewards to
fun.
put it on.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun, guys. It is an event that feels more like a party than it feels like, and I don't mean this in a negative thing, like business doesn't get done, but people really enjoy one another at these events. And we do a lot of podcasting. My friends like Jason Greenwood will probably be there, and several others, and it's just such a nice event, and they do have some education and stuff usually, but it's a part of what you're doing anyhow, sitting around eating, drinking a little bit, and having some fun. So, and I don't drink, but I enjoy it. So even if you don't drink, come on out. We'll
Yeah,
have a good
I drink
time.
about a dozen of those NAs, but
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
what I was drinking all NA. Yeah, yeah, all night. I love it though, because at least they have an option like that now. So
Absolutely, we do.
yeah.
But like I said, shoptoberfest.com. Check it out. This is for merchants. It's for agencies. It's for tech partners. And basically, this is a place where it's a community event. We all get together. And really, if you have any business in e-commerce, you're welcome.
Awesome.
I haven't gone as far as saying our competition is there, but just about everybody else as well.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that might be a step too far, but I like the attitude. Well, Jason, thank you so much. You're one of my favorite guests to have on here. I'm excited about the platform. I'm excited about what y'all are doing. You even have one of my friends from Big Commerce Days over there, Ryan Fees now. So
Absolutely.
shout out to Ryan. And it's just exciting, guys. It's an exciting crew. And as you shared with me before, it's been kind of hockey sticking, as far as growth. So guys, keep an eye out for them. If you're an agency, I expect you to go to shopware.com and check it out today and sign up as an agency, because if you're not, you're going to get left behind and everybody else is going to be on Team Shopware and you're going to be stuck in the dust.
What a pitch. You're hired. I love it.
We'll talk soon. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Jeremy Gryder, the e-commerce redneck. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe. Thanks.